Welcome back to the Bitcoin Treasuries podcast. I'm Tim Kotzman. I'm here with Jacob Szymik, account executive at Square. Jacob, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Could we start with a little bit of your background, wherever you want to start, but your background, kind of your first encounter with Bitcoin and how the journey progressed from there a little bit?
Yeah, of course. I mean, when it comes to me, my background to cover there, I've always been in business development pretty much since the start of my career in multiple different industries, from retail to medical to so on, even the tech industry in multiple ways, and of course now. And in reference to my first encounter with Bitcoin, it was a lot of the same that we come across, in the sense that I had heard of it for years. I mean, it was very notable to me, definitely in the 2017, 2018 range. But before then, I had heard of it. I just didn't look into it as much. Um, and then after that, after it showed its resilience, you could say, over that time, I've just had my eyes on it ever since. And then really in the last couple of years, I would give credit to this team helping dive so much further on understanding, its purpose moving forward, and really what it's supposed to be used for in the future. So yeah, it's kind of how I encountered it, to say the least.
Got it. And from my understanding, there's quite a culture of Bitcoin inside Block and Square. Can you talk to that at all? And if there are any influential people or disagreeable people that lent itself to interesting conversations?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when it comes to this team, it's hard to name one, to be very honest. The entire team and the culture, you said it perfectly, is so forward motion. I mean, even a common statement is that we're all builders. So when it comes to the idea around Bitcoin, it's extremely utility driven. It's the forward motion discussion, not concentrating on, ups and downs and all that stuff, which of course I understand why people concentrate on that. But when it comes to the culture of the team, yeah, it's unbelievably forward motion on Bitcoin. I mean, you can see it, of course, in our releases. It's something that we're heavily concentrated on and excited to continue to push forward in the future.
And if I was going to tell Jacob 5 years ago that you were going to help millions of sellers turn Bitcoin into another button on a POS, would you have believed me? What would be your reaction?
Oh my goodness. I mean, that's a good question. I can't say that I would rule it out. I would say that even seeing it years ago, I wouldn't have been able to put my finger on it per se, that I would be actually, pushing to help millions, onboard this as just another way to accept payment. But I could definitely see its velocity. But I will give it credit that no, 5 years ago, I might not have seen us pushing it this fast at its pace.
Got it. And can you walk us through kind of your day to day in your position? Has it changed at all over time? And when you're talking to sellers that maybe are not up the education curve or are skeptical, like what is that conversation like, I guess?
Yeah, definitely. So what I would say is what's changed day to day is, especially since the launch and release, you've had a lot more conversation around teams calling in to, discuss accepting Bitcoin. And that being said, really before the release and so on, there wasn't a lot of discussion. However, day to day for me is really taking a potential seller, and they could just purely want to know, do you accept it? I saw that you did. Or it could be more of the side that you're referencing, more skeptical, like, why would I accept this? And that's where the explanation comes in reference to the base of how many people already use Bitcoin, how many people have already adopted it, and how it really opens a door massively to this whole population that is willing to interact with your business to be able to send payments across Bitcoin rails. And once again, as you'd even seen in releases, not even having to use their Bitcoin, they can settle in USD or use their USD over those rails. So I think what it comes down to is really educating each one, whether they're skeptical, whether they're super excited. Just really important for them to understand the tool, why we released it, why we believe in it, um, and just do that as clearly as possible.
Do you have customers that still kind of think of Square as a hardware company, like the white little gadget? And how are those conversations, or yeah, anything kind of unexpected or unique in the conversations? And do they sometimes lead to other segments or verticals of Block, if that makes any sense?
Yeah, yeah. So we do run across that. I mean, I've run across teams that, they give us a call. They want to use Square for, and they think it's just processing. They don't realize that there's this entire ecosystem truly built to help them manage their business from end to end. So I do love that question because that does spark that conversation of, well, did you know you could also manage XYZ, whether it be payroll or, staff management, timing, inventory, all of that kind of stuff, and be able to have these tools all in one place. So that being said, it's something that comes up. Just saying, hey, I want to sign up really quick. I want to be able to charge payments on the go, so on and so forth. But I'm just going to use it as a sidecar. And it's like, well, what are you currently using in place as your main piece? And the conversation just delves out from there. So definitely something we come across, but we've made such an impact on the market now that it is also just as common to have teams reach out and be ready to onboard fully, wanting to take advantage of that ecosystem as a whole. So I love that I'm starting to see, that as well as, the teams popping out of the woodwork asking about the original card reader.
Is there a certain portion of conversations that you kind of stick to the adoption numbers or things that are just very factual versus calls where someone is just like, I've been waiting for this. They're so excited. It's more ideological or just more passionate? Is it half and half? Is it like, no, Tim, this is the business world. People just want the facts and then they're on their way?
I think it's a very healthy mixture. I think you have the conversations that if you're fluid and listening, it's time to talk about more of the data points behind it. I think that's generally in a base sense always somewhat involved. But yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a mixture. You have I've had sellers reach out and just outright admit to me like, "Hey, I'm not going to use this at all. I just love that it's possible." So it's like it just spans across for sure.
Yeah, it definitely starts that conversation.
It does. Yeah.
Can you walk me through the experience, I guess, from the seller's point of view? Because maybe people have seen the announcement, but it would be helpful to just kind of walk through the conversation and the process a little bit.
Yeah. It's unbelievably simple. You literally walk in, everything's activated. You walk in, customer scans the QR code. At that point, payment is processed and it's settled instantly. So of course, there's a lot happening behind the scenes in the same exact way. When you go in and you swipe a card, there's just an unbelievable amount of complexity, as we both know, taking place behind that one simple tap or swipe. However, the speed and simplicity behind what takes place on that Bitcoin payment is unmatched in the sense that it, especially with us having the zero fees until 2027, and settling instantly, that's definitely just an unbelievable upside. But yeah, in general, it's as simple as that.
So correct me if I'm wrong at all here. Merchants they can settle in Bitcoin, in USD, or they can use Bitcoin conversions to turn a slice of the card sales into Bitcoin over time. Like, what are you seeing in the early days? Are sellers using Bitcoin as working capital, more as savings, as a customer acquisition tool? Are there any other thoughts, use cases, or kind of ideas that are even more novel than that you've seen?
I wouldn't say novel, only because I've seen such a span. So, I mean, you have everything from coffee restaurants, coffee shops, restaurants, yeah, you know, just retail stores, so on and so forth, it is such a span across how many different types of businesses using it, um, that it's definitely just kind of even across the board, if that answers your question.
Yeah, definitely. And sellers can kind of allocate where they, if they want to flip it to USD, keep it in Bitcoin. Have there been any conversations around the store of value and specifics around that, or not as much?
Oh yeah, to answer that question as well. Yeah. So as far as what we're seeing on how it's being used, that is also very just evenly distributed. So you have teams that are definitely using it more for that, starting to build it as a store of value, kind of taking that slice off of some of the payments coming through and storing it away. Some are full-fledged, adopting it as that way to open the doors to that form of the market that is, using Bitcoin, and increasing, their customer base from there just by doing that alone. And then what I do truly love is that each individual business, what I'm noticing is going in and figuring out a way that it works best for them, rather than having to adopt this one singular way of incorporating Bitcoin into the business, because it is truly going to vary, especially now, for each business on how they want to incorporate it. It's not going to work the same way, for a coffee shop as it is a retail shop, in some ways, because that business owner might want to use it different and or store it different and so on.
Yeah, that makes sense. When you explain your job to family members who maybe still see Bitcoin as not a store of value, how do you explain it to them? How do you kind of explain what you guys are building, to use your phrase of builders?
Well, when it comes to my family, I think one of the best parts is they're pretty just open to hearing me talk about this stuff. I for years have talked about everything from AI to cryptocurrency and all of that, and they've never been harsh skeptics. Thank goodness. Thank you guys. I love you. But it's always just been a healthy conversation of them hearing me out and understanding that these are things to definitely start keeping an eye on. So when I describe it to them, it's the same way I love to describe it to everyone, in the sense that it is a truly decentralized peer-to-peer system. You can process payments. No one has to be in the way of that, and you truly have full control. And when it comes to the complexity of it, where I always touch on is the education piece, and that I think that is self-responsibility to each person. The same way that we need to take self-responsibility to insert more education on how people can be, have financial knowledge and so on, even just with, fiat, normal current, the currency that we use. That being said, that's to me truly the most important piece is education, and educating yourself on how it works. I wish I would have done that years and years prior, because if we all went and tried to understand how the dollar truly works on a daily basis, to its ever core and detail, and we did the same with payment processors and like what happens when you truly swipe that card, we would all function massively different, than we currently do. So yeah, I would say when my family asks and when they have asked, I immediately, touch on that base level and then go into the sense that it's time to educate yourself on how it truly works. What are you storing away? What is Bitcoin? How did it start? And then once you go from there, as you know, the moment you actually learn the details of the inner workings, how the network is built, it's in your blood. There's a reason why they have the orange pill statement and all of that. It's just there. It just clicks out of nowhere. So yeah, that's generally how I've interacted with my family on it.
I'm reminded a little bit of a business owner that I spoke to maybe a year ago, and they are a private company. They have Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And when I said, would you like to do anything on the media front? They said, no, we do not want our customers to know that we have Bitcoin on the balance sheet. It's too much of a business risk for us. That's how they viewed it. So have you had any conversations where people say, hey, maybe we'll market and advertise that we can accept Bitcoin, maybe we won't. But even if they don't, has there been that conversation of, now I can take some of my cash, some of my profits, and flip it over to Bitcoin? Has that been like a specific conversation or not so much?
Oh yeah, I fully believe so. The fact that it's just one of the ways that a business owner can manage it. It's one of those options. With the amount of team members we have out there, account executives, business developers, speaking with potential sellers about this, there's no way that conversation hasn't happened in reference to, hey, yeah, I might want to accept it, but I do want to make sure that we're only taking a slice and storing it away, or I do want to pretty much start rolling this into to a different form of whatever workflow might work best for them. So by far, absolutely, and I think it's only going to become more common.
Where's the best place for people to reach out to you or to Square to kind of learn more, have more of a conversation on all of this?
Oh man, well, you can reach out to me on X. From there, if we need to email back and forth, we can, and hop on the phone, for goodness sakes. But when it comes to reaching out to our team, it's as simple as you can go to the website, reach out to us there. It says sky's the limit. As far as connectivity these days, you can find us anywhere. You have Miles on X as well. We're building in public constantly, so if you ever have ideas in reference to any form of how you see Bitcoin or what you want to see in Cash App or how it functions in BitKey, anything like that, send it to the team, because we're literally out there and we will take it. And if you send it to me and it needs to go to Miles, I'm going to send it directly to him and so on. So yeah, definitely reach out to us for anything.
Awesome. And maybe before we get to closing thoughts, can you just give us a very high level overview of the different segments if people are not super familiar? I mean, there's Cash App, there's BitKey, there's Spiral, there's Proto, there's Square. Am I missing one? And so what's the one or two sentence kind of overview of each of those, if that is fair?
Yeah, that's totally fair. So like you said, you mentioned all of them. You have Cash App, you have Square, you have Spiral, all of them. And in essence, all of it is empowering the economy to really meet the customer where it's at. That's been the start. Even at Square, it was literally taking a moment where especially small sellers at the time didn't have access to be able to process payments on the fly, or they weren't able to accept cards because of the complexity and so on. And all each of these teams have done is continue a mission of that very start, which is creating an open economy and creating access to businesses of all sizes to be able to, once again, meet the customer where they're at, how they need to pay, and so on. So if that indicates anything to anyone in reference to, is Bitcoin worth looking at and getting involved in, you have a team that has, one of the largest debit card providers and systems in the US alone, and we're coming forth saying we're going to meet what we see as a need in the economy on where this community wants to start being able to use and interact. And that being said, we're here and we're meeting them where we're at again. And we're only going to continue to do that in the future. This is only the start, in the sense that we're doing this now. Imagine what we're going to be doing in 3 to 5 years. It's unbelievable what's going to be taking place.
Any sneak peeks you can give us? Any ideas on the horizon?
3 to 5 years out, that's a hard one. But any sneak peeks? I mean, I would say keep your eye out on the releases. It's definitely why we grouped them that way. Is we want to be able to keep everyone in the loop, involved the whole way through, and be able to do that in a way multiple times a year that it all makes sense. So keep an eye out on those, and the jaw will continue to drop.
Jacob Szymik with Square. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Tim.
When it comes to holding Bitcoin securely, peace of mind starts with architecture. OnRamp's multi-institution custody model distributes control across 3 independent regulated key holders in a 2 of 3 multi-sig quorum. No single point of failure, no pooled or omnibus exposure, just segregated, client-titled vaults. You retain full legal ownership while OnRamp coordinates security, compliance, and operational workflows behind the scenes. It's the strength of many delivered through the simplicity of one. MIC is the foundation for everything OnRamp builds. Sound infrastructure that distributes counterparty risk and provides fault-tolerant resilience with clear audits and institutional controls. And now, OnRamp is piloting flat, predictable pricing, making best-in-class Bitcoin custody and financial services more accessible than ever. OnRamp. Strength in many, simplicity in one. Visit onrampbitcoin.com to learn more. Hey guys, today's episode is brought to you by Stampseed. If you're in cold storage, you know how important it is to protect your seed phrase. That's why I recommend you head over to stampseed.com and check it out for yourself. This seed phrase storage device is one solid piece of titanium. There are no loose pieces, and you can hammer your seed phrase in letter by letter. When you go to stampseed.com, use promo code TIM15 for a 15% discount across the website. That's TIM15. Join us at the Win in Las Vegas, February 23rd through the 26th, 2026, for Bitcoin for Corporations. Use code KOTZ when you grab your tickets at strategy.com, and we'll see you there. This episode is brought to you by Arch Lending, the premier provider of crypto-backed loans designed for both individual and institutional investors. At Arch, your digital assets work for you without selling them. Arch offers flexible loan options tailored to your needs. Backed by industry leaders like Morgan Creek Digital, Castle Island Ventures, and Galaxy Ventures, Arch Lending is setting a new standard in crypto-backed lending. Are you ready to unlock the potential of your crypto assets? Visit archlending.com to learn more and configure your loan today. Are you looking for comprehensive analytics on corporate Bitcoin adoption? Strategy Tracker delivers real-time insights into how companies are executing their Bitcoin strategies completely free. Monitor NAV premiums, cost basis performance, and track how corporate Bitcoin treasuries perform against the market. Upgrade to Premium for just $3.99 a month and unlock exclusive benefits like detailed market rankings, real-time trading volume analysis, and advanced performance metrics for corporations embracing Bitcoin. Apply code KOTZ at checkout for 100% off your first month of Premium. Strategy Tracker is your essential tool for measuring the effectiveness of corporate Bitcoin strategies. Visit strategytracker.com and gain the analytical edge in understanding the Bitcoin treasury phenomenon.